Hello and welcome back to KXAN Plus. I'm your host, Esmeralda Zamora. Thanks so much for joining us, whether you're watching on our website, our app, or our new streaming app. Thanks for being here. We have a space show coming to you from the KXAN Plus studio with our KXAN space expert, Eric Henrikson. Thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. You ready to talk about some explosions?
Yeah, we've got some big news. There was an explosion yesterday, right?
Yes, this is at the Briggs location of Firefly Aerospace. Firefly Aerospace is a local rocket company. I've always called them space truckers. They're an end-to-end delivery service, but basically they take stuff from space and deliver, or from Earth and deliver it to space. And they test rockets and build rockets out in Briggs, which is just northwest of Austin.
So close to home.
Close to home, not super close. Let's keep that in mind. This doesn't harm anyone. It is loud, but no harm. Let's show the video. I think the video is really impressive. So this happened Monday. There's the location, and
it's a little blurry, but
that's a big It was a small video. In fact, I'm going to zoom in. I zoomed in a couple times on this so you guys can get a better look at it. But yeah, pretty big explosion.
Wow.
The company said in a statement, "We learned from each test to improve our designs and build a more reliable system. We will share more information on the path forward at a later date." This exploded at the Briggs facility. This is in Burnett County. No one was hurt in the explosion. This was confirmed. The incident was confirmed as a, quote, loss of the stage. No facilities were impacted. I've been to Briggs. I've been to this facility, and it's not like the testing spots are right next to the buildings. They're pretty far away.
So this explosion was coming from inside the building?
No. This is coming from one of the testing sites near the facility, near the buildings. So no buildings were damaged, not near a building at all, no facilities. They have, the way the facility works is there's a few buildings close to the road, close-ish to the road where they actually build the rockets, and they have testing sites that are pretty far away. When I went, we had to get on a bus, and the bus took us to and they're close enough where you can get to them, but not so close that they can cause damage. See, I zoomed in a couple times just to get a better look at that explosion. Pretty big plume. This isn't the first time an explosion like this has happened. The last time was in 2020, and there was another one in 2022. The 2020 was the big one. It was a routine Alpha rocket test in Briggs. A fuel leak created a fireball during that one, and it was mistaken by residents as an explosion, so it was just a giant fireball. This was an explosion, unfortunately.
Yeah, this looks like it.
Automatic suppression systems kicked in during that event back in the 2020. The local fire department and Burnett County Sheriff's Department evacuated a 1-mile radius at the time. Again, I've been to this facility. It's pretty spread out, so less concerned about. The CEO at the time emphasized it was not an explosion, just a fire from leaking fuel. So this is the 2020 incident. This one was a loss of the stage. Residents were upset about the noise, safety concerns, and inconsistent communication from them. I've talked to them since about these concerns, and they've hopefully tried to alleviate a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
Firefly apologized at the time and hoped to improve coordination with local fire crews and promised community days, and they did do that. When I was there in last year, I think it was last year, 2024. They had community from the neighborhood surrounding at the facility when they were announcing some new big stuff. So that was that one. Again, this one, it's going to cause a delay for the Alpha FLTA007 rocket mission.
And what does that mean for their timeline?
Just a delay on this one mission, but they have a bunch of others lined up. This is a test on this one mission, so they have more in the future planned. So everything's fine. It's just one mission kind of delayed because of this.
I mean, that's why you test, right?
Right. And we talked before about SpaceX. They have the big one, Starship, that they've been trying to get off the ground, and it so far has been unsuccessful. There's been issues pretty much every time, either explosions or it did launch one point, but there was some, there's just been issues with that all the time. You test these now before you put people and stuff in them. Not just people, but stuff, because a lot like Firefly doesn't launch people; they just launch equipment
and supplies.
But that is, supplies, equipment's worth like millions, if not billions of dollars. You don't want to send that up there and explode. So get this stuff out of the way now, so you have to deal with it later. So everything's good. It's just interesting video. Just out there in Briggs, just again northwest of Austin.
Yeah.
They have their main facility, their main offices are in Cedar Park, just north of Austin. Connecting to. If you're going up to H Mart, you'll go through Cedar Park. It's right there. It's connected to Austin.
It looks like it was pretty big and loud. Was there any reports like from residents around?
Not that we've seen, not that's come down through us.
So this is the only video that we have so far.
The only video we have so far. I checked our server this morning to see if anyone else sent in anything. So if you have any other video, report it at KXAN.com.
Send it our way.
That's who to email it to, and we'll put it on there. But this is currently the only video we have. This was sent through NBC, got a hold of it. So NBC got the release for us to use. So pretty interesting. But yeah, pretty big explosion.
So did you talk to anyone after the fact?
I haven't had a chance. I was actually on Yogurt Shop Murders yesterday. So I haven't had a chance to chat with anyone yet, but I'm going to reach out later today and see if I can find out.
Awesome. I know this isn't the only thing we're talking about today, but it is the biggest thing, right?
Right, yeah. I feel like this is this is the most pertinent. The next thing I want to talk about is I did a Q&A with NASA last week that I wanted to show y'all. Last week they launched 3 space missions to study space weather. And that's just a video inside that facility I talked about. But they launched 3 missions to study space weather in different forms. There's kind of the overall solar system space weather, and then the space weather as an interfere, and it like connects with the Earth's atmosphere. They're studying the Earth's atmosphere, which they've only ever studied from the moon before.
Wow.
With photos from the moon, like the upper layer of the Earth's atmosphere.
For people who don't know what space weather is,
I'm gonna explain. I got you. And they're also going to study just forecasting space weather. So space weather is weather created by the sun in our solar system. The sun occasionally releases these giant solar flares and these big bursts of energy. And when those bursts come out, they hit our planet, and some of the side effects are things like aurora borealis, where we get those green glowy lights in the sky as the impact of that radiation hits our magnetosphere. But it can also impact our satellites, and when it hits our satellites, that's when it can cause damage. So I spoke to NASA. I spoke to Dr. Nikki Fox, who is the head of this program, about what they're working on, and you can check that out now. Joining us now is Dr. Nikki Fox. Dr. Fox, 3 missions are launching this week. Can you kind of give me a run through what those missions are and kind of the purpose of each one?
Absolutely. We're really excited. All 3 missions actually launching on one rocket, which is a credible way to get a lot of science into space for less money. So we're really excited about that. IMAP, the sort of main mission on that stack, is going to be studying what is coming from the sun. So basically sitting and sensing everything that comes in the sun's atmosphere towards the Earth. Really excited about the fact that we'll be doing forecasting and really helping to protect our astronauts on Artemis 2 and Artemis 3 with this IMAP data. IMAP also looks at the boundary to interstellar space. And so this atmosphere from the sun bathes all of the planets, carves out a protective area for our solar system, protects us from the vagaries of interstellar space, very high radiation that can come in through galactic cosmic rays. So basically doing, all of those pieces. The Carruthers Geocorona Observatory also launching on the stack will look at kind of the final boundary between the Earth's atmosphere and deep space. We call it the exosphere. And that mission will be looking at kind of how this region of our atmosphere, it's never really been studied before, and how that, kind of responds to what is coming from the sun. So IMAP and Carruthers making a really close partnership. And then we're really honored to be launching the NOAA Space Weather Follow-On L1 mission, otherwise known as SWIFO, that will be providing operational space weather data for the nation.
Let's talk about the solar atmosphere for a second. I was reading up on it, and it does kind of abruptly stop at a thing called the terminus shock. So what do we know about this terminus shock, and what are we trying to learn with IMAP about how kind of the boundaries of this atmosphere?
So that's a really great question. We had a sort of precursor mission to IMAP called IBEX, the Interstellar Boundary Explorer. And that's how we know that the technique that we're flying on IMAP works to actually map this boundary. It's through a process called energetic neutral atom imaging. So, basically all the neutrals that are out in the, all the ions that are out in the very sort of far region, they can grab an electron, it becomes a neutral atom, it gets a lot of energy, and it streams in towards the sun. And so it will hit the detectors on IMAP, and that allows us to gradually build up maps of what this boundary actually looks like. The termination shock we know a little bit about because our two amazing Voyager spacecraft have actually crossed both the termination shock and the actual boundary itself, and they are out in interstellar space. Voyager 1 kind of went out to the north, and Voyager 2 down to the south. So we've had, we know what the boundary kind of looks like in terms of the data from Voyager, and then IMAP is going to take much, much higher resolution, sort of mapping and images of that boundary itself, building on the first measurements from IBEX, and now adding much higher resolution. And it's in going to the L1 point means there's no obstruction, the Earth is never in the way, and it can really stare at the interstellar boundary all the time. It takes 6 months as kind of as the Earth goes around the sun, the L1 point goes with it. And so every 6 months, IMAP will be able to basically stare at the entire sky and then map out what this boundary looks like.
Why do we care about this boundary? Why is it important to understand how the sun and its winds work within our solar system?
So for us to understand, to be able to predict space weather, to protect our astronauts, to protect our technology here on Earth, we really need to fully understand exactly how the sun's atmosphere works, how it interacts with our Earth's protective magnetic field, and how that energy comes in and sort of changes. It causes the atmosphere to glow. That's what you see when you see an aurora. And it affects a lot of our technology here on Earth. But that boundary, that very far boundary, protects us by orders of magnitude against these galactic cosmic rays. That's really important for us to understand this boundary, because as we, obviously we're sending astronauts to the moon, but then we have our eyes on Mars after that. And that is putting astronauts on long duration trips through interplanetary space between Earth and Mars. And so really understanding how these cosmic rays are, how they're shielded, what they look like, how they're going to impact that crew vehicle is very important.
With Corelliers looking at this other atmospheric, barrier, what's the difference between the solar winds, the barrier they're hitting versus the Earth winds hitting the solar winds? What's the difference between those two barriers?
Oh, that's really interesting. So the exosphere is kind of the final boundary before you hit outer space. So even though it is still, it's still the Earth's atmosphere, it's very, very, very tenuous at that point. So terrestrial weather isn't playing a big part. At that point, you're really just looking at how space weather is hitting that sort of big boundary. So the magnetosphere, the magnetic bubble that our planet kind of protects us with, that's sort of where we're getting to the edge of that region, and we're able to look at sort of how the energy will enter in and cause us to get kind of the atmosphere gets excited and lots of electric currents flow, and that's what we want to measure. The boundary where sort of terrestrial and space weather interact, that is down lower. That's in the sort of ionosphere, thermosphere region. So we've done some really great work looking at that boundary with early missions in the heliophysics fleet, like ICON, that sort of actually really studied that boundary. We have a mission called GOLD that is sort of taking images of that region and looking at how that's changing. And then we have a mission on the International Space Station called OR that looks at gravity waves that are flowing through that region. So we have missions that look at kind of all of the different pieces of the space weather puzzle, but we've never had a mission that looked at the edge of the exosphere or the geocorona. The best measurements we have of that actually are from a camera that flew with Apollo 16. And the astronauts took that down to the lunar surface, and they were able to image the geocorona. So basically how this area kind of lights up because of light from the sun, because of interaction with the photons. The camera, incidentally, is still on the moon, but the astronauts brought back the very precious film canister, and there are images from that camera. The camera was designed by George Carruthers, and so that is why the mission is named, because of this iconic image that was taken by the Apollo 16 crew. So this is, another piece of the puzzle, another piece of how our planet is responding to what's coming from the sun.
How has technology shifted? We took photos since on the moon. How has the technology shifted? What sort of tech are we working with now to further analyze this atmosphere?
Yeah, we're working with very, very sophisticated imagery now. So being able to look at the geocorona and how that is sort of illuminated by the sun's light. We're able to do that with a couple of different cameras. We've got like a wide field imager that will, look at the whole thing. We've got a more narrow one that looks in more detail at the different wavelengths and how everything is sort of acting together to perform that protection duty that we rely on here on Earth. But really, it's just, if you think about the technology that would have existed during the Apollo era, like think about a telephone that would be on the wall, a rotary dial telephone, and now look at the technology you hold in your hand with a smartphone. And that's the sort of the leaps that have happened in technology, a lot of it driven by the NASA program, and the need to always fly better technology to be able to do bigger and better and bolder missions and answer bigger and bigger science questions. And so the technology that we develop at NASA, often you'll find that you are things you didn't even know you needed many years ago that we now rely on all the time.
There's a third mission on this launch. I don't want to ignore it. So kind of touch on that mission a little bit. What is that mission and why is it important for us on Earth?
Yeah, we're very proud to be launching our NOAA Space Weather Follow-on L1 mission. That also going up on the ring. So Carruthers on one side and SWIFO on the other. SWIFO is going to be also hanging out at the L1 point, and it will provide a critical real-time space weather data, which our NOAA forecasters will use for the space weather forecasting for the nation. So a really, really important mission. So, I kind of think about it as the sort of ultimate like space weather gang out there at the L1 point. IMAP doing precision measurements of everything coming from the sun and then telling us about that very, very far away boundary. Carruthers telling us about how our sort of planet's atmosphere is responding to space weather, and then SWIFO providing that real-time operational space weather. So it's just a really cool stack of missions going up.
Space weather itself, why do people on Earth need to care about it? It's pretty cool, but why do they need to care about it?
So we literally rely on technology that can be impacted by space weather. So things like your GPS signals that we all rely on to get from place A to B. We also have farmers that rely on it to do precision agriculture, drilling, mining, all the things that require really, really precision. They can be impacted by changes in the magnetic field configuration and by electric currents flowing. And so, there's a lot of economic benefit to being able to actually predict. If you know a big space weather storm is coming, you can protect a power grid so you don't get, like a transformer that fails and a whole power grid goes down. You can actually protect against these things by knowing that they're coming. So a lot of really things that you wouldn't think about actually are susceptible to space weather.
Fantastic. Dr. Nikki Fox, thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Thank you so much.
That was a long interview.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. I went to chat. We chatted a little bit. There was 3 missions. We went in depth on each one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
well,
the last one was interesting.
You like the last one?
Yeah.
I think IMAP's my favorite because it discovers the terminus shock, the edge of our solar system we know little about. But whatever. That's the good thing about having 3 missions is that you can have.
If one fails, you
fails,
got 2 other
you
ones.
can have. If you don't like one, there's 2 others that are interesting. But they're all analyzing different things. So give us a good picture of space weather. Anyway. Space weather, that's fun. Let's kind of wrap up the show today. I wanted to talk about life on Mars.
What about life on Mars?
See, you're always interested in aliens and bring up life on Mars.
What about life on Mars?
Okay. So if you remember a couple weeks ago, NASA announced they found biological
tiny.
signatures. Well, biological signatures, no cells, biological signatures of what would have been life several, billion years ago. This is signs of clay, salt deposits where they were looking, and they found carbon, sulfur, rust, phosphorus, things that are produced when life exists by, breathing. So they found this in the rocks. This was on the Curiosity rover. And this is sulfur crystals were found. So like really interesting stuff. Or sorry, is the Perseverance, not Curiosity. Curiosity was the last time. So Perseverance found these. They found these chemical compounds. They're currently on Mars. There's no way to get them back, but signs of life on Mars. So how did the life exist? Well, I took a closer look at some new research out of UT that explored that with volcanoes. So take a look at this.
It's the closest we've come to finding something like this outside of Earth.
Signs of life on Mars.
We found the evidence that there is actually organic material in general in these rocks here.
While remnants of organic life on a rock might not excite as much as a Martian civilization, for UT Austin scientists like Lucia Bellino,
I think to have such a kind of a fundamental question about, was Mars habitable 3 to 4 billion years ago? Was there life there? And how is that possible? Really interested me.
Bellino isn't looking at the surface, but beneath the red crust.
It's not as active as it once was, especially in terms of volcanism.
Billions of years ago, volcanoes dotted the red planet, spewing out sulfur. Bellino's new analysis of Martian meteorites revealed that this sulfur changed as it moved through magma, losing oxygen and becoming more reactive. Once reaching the surface, it
could have helped form a hazy atmosphere on early Mars.
Warming a brutally cold planet where liquid water could flow and life flourish.
We have this new mechanism through which sulfur could have been a really key ingredient in shaping habitable conditions for early Mars.
Bellino said that this type of changed sulfur is also found on Earth, in areas with microbial life.
It emphasizes the need to kind of bring these samples home and keep investigating whether Mars was habitable, and maybe even if there could have been life on early Mars.
It's a question we're now a stone's throw away from answering. In Austin, Eric Henrikson, KXAN News.
Eric, she was talking about sulfur being a key part in life. Why?
Right. So basically, the sulfur would bubble up, form an atmosphere, a hazy atmosphere in this case. So they've known there was sulfur on Mars, but based on these new analysis they looked at, it's a certain type of sulfur which is really key and really good at making greenhouse gases. And so Mars is kind of it's further away from the sun than Earth, and so it's a little colder than Earth. But with greenhouse gases, it could have been warm enough where water and life could have existed several billion with a B years ago. So not anytime recent.
Yeah.
But what this meant was, if this is true, Mars was very much capable of sustaining life, and based on what NASA found, probably did.
Yeah.
Maybe nothing crazy, but like algae and stuff. But that's a good sign. It means life can exist other places besides Earth, which means if the universe is infinite,
then we're not the only ones here.
a very strong likelihood we're not the only ones here.
So if there was life on Mars way back billions of years ago, what do you think it was that took that life out?
No telling. The planet is not as geologically active as the Earth is. It doesn't have volcanoes that are spewing out things. So maybe the greenhouse gases just kind of faded over time as the planet became less active and the planet cooled and it got too cold. There's ice deposits on Mars, on the caps.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the question always was it ever liquid? And if it's liquid, then we could have life, but it's ice. So no life on those caps.
But the ice would never melt?
It had to be warm enough. And so it wasn't warm enough recently. But these greenhouse gases existed, then it may have been warm enough to melt.
Yeah.
And when it melted, there could have been life.
And now it's frozen.
Now it's frozen. Yeah. No greenhouse gases. No, the atmosphere isn't very thick. One thing I talked to her about was the Venus's atmosphere. Very, very thick, very, very hot, very, very volcanic. Could there be life there? We don't know because it's so hot and so volcanic and so high pressure that everything we've sent there has been crushed under the weight of its own atmosphere.
Wow.
Mars is the opposite, where the atmosphere is too thin, and then Earth is in that just right zone, the Goldilocks zone we talk about when it comes to life existing in the universe. It has to exist in that Goldilocks zone where water can exist, because without water, to the best of our knowledge, you can't have life. Now, who knows? There could be types of life that are
Don't need water.
Don't need water, or born from rocks or something. I think water is really key because if you look at the periodic table of elements, hydrogen is number 1, then it's helium, and then I think oxygen is number 6, I think, on there. I'm pulling this out of my brain source.
I remember the song, or I try to remember the song that I learned in chemistry. When
You're gonna sing it now, right?
No, I'm not gonna sing it. It's okay.
But where's oxygen on there? It's pretty early. It's like I want to think it's 6
or 5.
5 or 6. It's like
Yeah.
early. So it's hydrogen and helium, but hydrogen is number 1. So these are elements that are very like low on the table, which means they're very susceptible to change and growth, and because that and to like they're very reactive elements, so they can create life. So the idea is we think currently that you need water to make life. Maybe there's other ways to do it. We don't know.
But that's what we know.
But that's what we
right
think
now.
we know right now. And of course, this is, we're on the hunt for life. So it could come in a myriad of forms, and we'll find out. But right now, it looks like life did exist on Mars. It appears that way. Nothing confirmed. It appears that based on the new findings out of UT that an atmosphere was possible thanks to these sulfur deposits, and those two things could have interacted. So again, not little green men, but little green algae probably.
Or rocks.
Or or I guess rockmen could have existed or something. But anyways, probably algae, probably like small plant life, single cell organisms, that kind of stuff.
Interesting. So when is the next time any of our programs here are gonna head up to Mars?
Well, the next hope, I believe, is the human race sending us there physically. I don't think Perseverance is there now. Curiosity was there before. Those are rovers we sent.
Yeah.
So those rovers are up there, and they're still doing their thing. Perseverance is still like collecting samples, and it has no way of sending them back, but it is collecting them.
It's testing.
It's testing them,
observing,
doing what it can with the technology it has on board. But the next thing I think we're sending is, you.
No, not me.
Why not? It's just like a couple years. There and back
You go
again?
first. Let me know how it is, and then I'll go.
Yeah, we'll see. I'd like to go, but I got the whole family thing that would get annoying.
The dogs. You
The
can't
dogs,
leave the dogs.
the husband. We go, hey, why can't? Where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to Mars. I'll be back in 2 years. Can you imagine how much trouble I would get in if that was a conversation we had to have in our house? I'll be back in 2 years. Can you handle the chores till I'm gone? While I'm gone?
Can you watch the dogs?
And you know what?
for me?
I'd be so tired when I got back too. I'm like, I don't want to do anything. Can you just handle it? I've been to Mars.
Don't talk to me.
No, I'd definitely be very like, I have all the things to tell you, and then he would not be interested. He'd be like, okay, cool, you're in a desert, whatever.
How interesting. No life. Great.
Yeah. Any good gossip up there? Not really. It'd be kind of
Any
that thing.
aliens come and chit chat with you?
Unfortunately, no aliens. But anyway, that's our show today.
And we do, for anyone who missed our conversation about the explosion, we have all the details on our website, KXAN.com, as well as that video that you showed, or that we showed here earlier.
Yes. And remember, if you have any more videos, send it to us. Report it at KXAN.com. And that way we can show off different angles if we can find them. That'd be great.
Easy to find on our homepage, KXAN.com. For anyone who wants to rewatch this video or watch other KXAN Plus originals, where can they watch that?
I love that you give me a test at the end of every episode. You can watch it on KXAN Plus, which is available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, Roku, and Samsung TVs. Pretty much anywhere TVs are found.
Yeah.
And you can watch KXAN Plus and all of our other amazing streaming content.
Yes, for free. Just download it on the App Store. Thanks for joining me, Eric, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.